Hi everyone, welcome to the PR Signal today. I hope you're having a good day. And wow, let's talk about Fender guitars and their cease and desist letters today. All right, so Fender has effectively kicked the hornet's nest by their cease and desist letters, and so I thought, might be fun, might be kind of interesting. Let's talk about it from a public affairs standpoint and from a public relations standpoint as well. And this isn't meant to be a full blown analysis or anything like that. It's just a discussion. This is kind of more of a cliff notes than anything. Disclaimer, I am not a lawyer. And also, I do not know anyone who works at Fender. I don't know anyone who works at the companies who got a cease and desist letter. Fender, none of these companies are paying me to do this. To be exact, I don't even know any of them at any of these companies. The only one who knows me is my cat. She thinks I'm cool. Okay, but what is interesting is that this is something that is happening in real time, and so a lot can change between now and later on. But as of the recording, this is what we got to go off of. I'm not going to go over everything because there are tons and tons of videos out there right now who go into much deeper detail. But to give a history, this is kind of Cliff Notes version here. In short, Fender sued believe it was a Chinese company over in Germany over a copyright of their S-shaped guitar or their Stratocaster style guitar. And important thing to keep in mind is this: Fender has multiple times tried to sue over their trademark of that guitar style design in the U.S., and they have been unsuccessful to do it. So in Germany, they're suing over the copyright of it, which is a completely different law and everything. It's also completely different from the US. The company that they sued never showed up. So therefore, Fender won by default. Hey, congratulations, win is a win. Now what has happened is Fender has taken that win and used it to start going after a bunch of other companies and giving out cease and desist. Seems like they're giving out cease and desist letters like it's freaking candy or something like that. But not only are they saying, hey, y'all have to stop making guitars, they're also saying in their cease and desist letters that they also say that these companies have to destroy their inventory that they already have. They have to pay a fine for each guitar. They also have to pay legal fees. They also have to show video proof of them destroying the inventory. And it sounds like they're not just asking companies to destroy their inventory from after the decision was made. It sounds like any S-style guitar that they have to destroy it. Even though those guitars are legal in the U.S., they can still sell them there. And also, it wasn't just simply international companies that got these cease and desist letters. It was also American companies that got these cease and desist letters, asking them to destroy their inventory, even though those guitars can legally be sold in the US. So pretty much what has happened is this: Fender has gone to war with the entire guitar industry, and people are pissed.
Not a great plan.
The reactions from the guitar community have essentially been this: everyone seems to agree that Fender has a right to protect their IP, and Fender has a right to defend themselves. I think everyone's getting behind that. What they are mad about, though, is this: they're not agreeing with how Fender is doing it. In other words, with Fender, it's like they're basically saying there's only so far that you really need to go. It's kind of like this: if someone gets slapped and then the other person slaps or punches them back, yeah, we can probably all get behind that. It's like, hey, that other person, yeah, they probably got it coming. However, if that person then also takes a chainsaw and then starts chopping off their limbs too, that's when everyone's going to sit back and go, what the hell, man? So that is where we're kind of at on this, and that seems to be the sentiment of the guitar community. So right now, Fender has a full-blown reputational crisis happening. Internet is filled with videos from prominent guitar community leaders, like Tim Pierce, Phil McKnight, Rhett Shull, Samurai Guitarist. I saw he put something out too. Everybody is coming out against this essentially from the guitar community. And like I said, a lot of them are prominent guitar members as well who have big voices in that. It's to one of them even said that they're essentially potentially burning a bridge with Fender over this, and they're okay with it. So from a PR perspective, what can be done? What should be happening here? And so I'm actually going to take this in two different ways because with every fight, there's two sides. And we have the case of what can Fender do for their PR right now, and we also have the case of what can the other companies do for their PR as well. So first, I'm going to start with this. There's about three things that I feel each company either probably is doing right now or they really should be doing right now. And that is, number one, be doing media analysis. Hint to Fender right now, need to be scouring Instagram, they need to be scouring YouTube, they need to be scouring Facebook, they need to be scouring everything. They need to be getting a census of what public sentiment is, what exactly is being said, and also they need to be getting a sense of how strongly people feel about these different issues. They need to be seeing how far-reaching this is because now this is a global issue. They need to find out what parts is going to identify what your key audiences are going to be for this, what your key demographics are going to be for this, who is screaming the loudest and who is screaming the most passionate. That's going to give you a lot of your qualifiable data to really get your heads around the situation and really be able to see what exactly is happening. And that is going to lead into my next thing that all of them should be doing, which is this, a SWOT analysis, SWOT, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Knowing where your situation falls into each one of these categories is really going to help you in determining the roadmap that you got to lay ahead. It's going to know exactly what messages you need to be constructing. It's going to allow you to know exactly where your key demographics are falling in. It's also going to let you know, hey, what are the strengths that you can play to right now? And it's also going to help you be able to plan for the threats that you're going to get. And it's also going to help you potentially avoid some pitfalls. Speaking of pitfalls, that leads me to number 3, which is this. Nothing is said without running it through the legal department. That includes things that are both said publicly and things that are said privately at the company too. Because here's the thing. One of the unwritten rules of public affairs and public relations is this. If there is a device in the room that can possibly record, always pretend that it is recording. You never, ever, ever actually know whether or not it is recording. So, if it can record, pretend that it's on. A lot of people are comparing this to Gibson's reputational crisis that they had with their Play Authentic video. A big key difference between these two, and this is why I say everything has to go through the legal department, is this. The big key difference between those two is in the Play Authentic video, Gibson was threatening legal action. With Fender, they've issued the cease and desist letters already. So now we have active legal action that is happening. So this PR crisis that's happening, Gibson, with their situation, were able to at least had the ability to be able to put out statements right away without having legal action. However, because of the cease and desist letters, Fender has legal action happening right now. So you know everything that is being said by both sides is going to be scrutinized by a team of lawyers. Even if what is being recorded is illegal to be recorded and cannot be submitted to courts, if that gets leaked to the media or anything like that, they're still the court of public opinion. And you can win in a court with a judge, but when it comes to the court of public opinion, you can still lose there. So that is why everything that is said from here on out, if it can, have it go through the legal department. All right, so now let's move on. What can Fender be doing right now? So the advantage that Fender has right now is this. Fender, so they don't really technically have something labeled as a public affairs or PR department. What they have is what they call a global communications department, which handles their PR, their public relations. So the advantage that Fender is going to have right now is this. Fender has resources. They're going to have a bigger budget. They're also going to have more staff that can be doing the media analysis. They can also have another person who's compiling all this and starting to fill out the SWOT analysis, you name it. Instead of having people fill out surveys off, they can have, for instance, and also the other companies, they can be doing this too. They can be going through the analysis of YouTube videos and social media, and for each piece of content that they find, they can be filling out analysis to give themselves some quantifiable data, which is, are they receptive to what's going on? Or are they against it? Yes or no? How strongly does the content creator feel about it? 1 to 10. You can have somebody who is looking at content and then filling out the survey as if they were the creator. But another thing that Fender needs to be doing is this. Their communications department needs to have a full understanding of everything about the legal action that is happening right now. They need to know how these letters were chosen. They need to know how these letters came to be. They need to know how these letters ended up being written. This is going to be crucial in constructing public statements, responding to media queries, which they may not be able to do much of that right now anyway because of this legal Pandora's box that they basically opened. With the Gibson Play Authentic video, at least they could come out right away and make some sort of public statement. However, Fender does not have that ability right now because of this legal action that they've taken. They've opened this legal Pandora's box. Everything's going to be scrutinized. And so they kind of slapped their own handcuffs on themselves. And now they just kind of got to sit back and, to a certain extent, and watch the PR nightmare unfold. So the way to make sure you got a full understanding is be talking to the legal company that issued the letters on behalf of Fender, which I believe is Bird and Bird. So talking to them, making sure that legal department is fully educating the PA department on everything that is going on. After consulting with the legal department, letting the C-suite know, hey, reputationally, things are not really going our way. Fender might want to consider backing down on some of their lawsuits and pursuing the ones that make sense in a way that makes sense and issuing a statement alongside of it. Now, this statement can say something along the lines of, thank you to the guitar community for your feedback and for your sharing your thoughts and feelings on this situation. We appreciate everything that you are doing. Currently, the cease and desist letters that have been issued still stand. However, thanks to everyone and their passion and their feedback, we are reevaluating the situation, and we'll release more information when it's available. We are always indebted to our players and our customers, and Fender is always indebted to our players, and we want to see our IP protected. However, we also want to remember our customers as well. All right, so that's a very off-the-cuff way of putting it, but something along those lines to let people know that you hear them, you feel what they're saying, and also it addresses the emotions of what's going on, and it might get some public sentiment back on your side by having those empathy statements. It lets people know that you are trying to genuinely do the right thing while also trying to stand up for yourself and protect your IP, which, as I've pointed out before, is the guitar community sentiment is something that everyone can kind of get behind. They're with you on that. They just disagree with how you're going about doing it and think you're being a little too aggressive. Another part of this is also don't lie. If you're not actually reevaluating it, if Fender's not actually reevaluating anything, then don't say it. But as always, all this needs to go through the legal department. We'll also say, though, for the legal department, have it checked over by them for factual stuff or whatnot, but don't let the legal department choke the life and the emotion out of it. If people are reacting emotionally, then you need to make emotion-based appeals, and the legal department might choke a lot of that sentiment out. So now, what can the companies receiving the letters do? Right now, public sentiment is most definitely on their side. Individually, they can't really fight Fender. However, this is also one of those situations, though, where even though they're competitors, they can come together around a common enemy and be able to work together on this. And I think that is probably the route that they should be doing. My advice is this. Right now, be stoic, be strategic, and also I would recommend reading the book Peaks and Valleys by Spencer Johnson. That's a book about how to deal with ups and downs of everything, and to realize that even in crisis, there's opportunity and there's always silver linings. So take advantage of those opportunities that are there, even though maybe you didn't ask for them. Just realize in every situation, there is opportunity. And part of that means right now, avoiding angry rants. I can understand that these companies feel angry. I don't think anyone blames them. And as angry as they might feel, it is best to avoid making any angry public rants right now. By doing that, what you can make yourself end up looking is you can make yourself look unstable. You can make yourself look unconfident, and also you might end up saying something that turns into legal action, or you might end up saying something that might accidentally turn the public against you. So right now, don't let your emotions get the best of you. Be stoic, be strategic, and use your SWOT analysis. Another thing that can happen right now for all these companies is this. They can also talk to each other's PR teams, if they have one. I don't think LSL Instruments does. But anyone that does have PR teams, what they can do is unite together around a common message. And that can help create more awareness. It is something that's easier for the public to grab onto, and that way it shows that you are all united. And also understand this. Right now, this is some of the best advertising you can probably possibly get. You're having to spend more money on lawyers. Maybe that's the way to look at this, is instead of, man, we got to spend all this money on lawyers, maybe look at it as it's also us spending it on, by this case, we also are spending it on advertising technically, because we're getting a lot of attention off of this. Depends on how you want to see how the money is being allocated. So the story is still developing. We'll see where it goes. And what's going to be really interesting, though, is seeing how the court ran by a judge versus a court of public opinion, and how sometimes those two things can collide. Well, you are serving for inspiration of don't give up. Yes, you are. Right, but what do you think? Is there something that either or both sides should be doing? Is Fender going too far? And also for the other companies that got cease and desist letters, could they be winning right now, but then end up making a dumb play in the fourth quarter that ends up ultimately costing them the game? Let me know what you think. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion. In the meantime, though, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.